Welcome back to the Awakening Women podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten, and in this edition, we're chatting about how to move the energy when you feel like you're not gaining any momentum, or you feel like you're staying stuck in the same place where you're waking up and it's Groundhog's Day and you're dealing with the same shit over and over and over again. And what I see with women that come into my world, not all women, some women do recognize that they need to do something drastic to move themselves, but also a lot of women stay stuck in the same place. And the reason why this happens is that we stop moving. So there is a time for stillness, there's a time for reflecting, a time for pausing, a time for reassessing. Yes, all of those things. But then there comes a time that we have to just take action in the direction of our betterment, whatever that is. And when we're not doing anything, we remain stagnant. This creates illness in the body and the mind because, it really is a match for depression, and it's energetic stagnancy in the body when we are doing nothing. And so if you're feeling the blahs, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you're on a hamster wheel treadmill of doing the same things every day, you work, you have kids, you're juggling a home and trying to figure out what to do about your relationship situation. Realize that those are all symptoms. Everything that's going on externally is a symptom of an internal condition, an internal misalignment, an internal imbalance, an internal mindset that is perpetuating that pattern. So your relationship problems, the conflicts, the ongoing stuff that is going on in your relationship is a reflection of an inward imbalance, inward pattern. And it's being reflected by what's going on around you. So if we look at the situation of a relationship and see it as, okay, this means that something is off within me. I'm not right within me, and I need to get right with me, because we are going to be with ourselves longer than we will be with anyone in our lives. We will always have ourselves. We are born into this world alone and we go out alone. Even if people are around us, we are on our own, and we will be with ourselves the longest, right? Our kids move away, they start their lives, then their families become their center of their world, which is the natural order of things. You could have a partner, but potentially have a partner pass on or leave. You have to get right with you to the point where through all of that, you're okay on your own. And right now it's admitting where you're at and then being willing to wake up and to do something different. You don't have to stay where you are. You can start taking steps that move the energy. It gets the energetic momentum flowing. It gets that ball rolling. And when you start to take one step, then the next step reveals itself, and it just keeps going from there. When you set yourself up to be open to signs from the universe, from your higher self, from things around you, from your own intuitive nudges and your own intuitive inspirations, and you start to get these messages and these intuitive hits to tell you, go here, go there, call this person, do this, listen to this person, listen to that podcast, and something within that sparks something else within you that propels you forward. This is how we create momentum. And so what I see a lot of women doing is, I don't know what actions to take. I don't know what to do. And they're doing the same things over and over, spinning their wheels. And then they're also telling themselves that, I've got to prepare and prepare and prepare. Yes, you do have to prepare, but you also have to be willing to ask for help and willing to get the support that you need to make sure that you're doing things in the right order, doing them correctly, and seeing around corners to save yourself a whole lot of hell and, yes, finances with legal fees and all that on the other side. So when it comes to being an unstoppable woman, I tend to draw in similar energies to me with the high achieving women, the women that are doers. We tend to be perfectionists. We tend to just keep going, to push, to not want anyone on the outside to see us sweat. We want to keep about face. We want to keep a certain image of ourselves that people see us in a certain way. We don't want to see anyone to see us as weak or flawed or whatever. And so we just keep pushing and achieving, and everything on the outside looks great. Women that come to work with me are often excelling in their careers, and yet behind closed doors in their homes, it's just dysfunctional and walking on eggshells, and they can come in the door and boom, they're in an alternate reality. And so we have to be able to say no more to things and people that are sucking us dry, that are taking away our energy, that really are nothing to do with making our own lives a priority. If we are in relationship to someone who is nowhere near on our level, we are working toward awakening, we're working toward ascending and evolving. We want to reach for more, we want to go higher, we don't want to stay stuck. There is a group of women out there, and maybe this is you, we hate to feel stuck. It's so uncomfortable that we tend to then just do to try and get ourselves out of that discomfort, out of that feeling of unsettledness. So we tend to do, and then we can actually do ourselves back into burnout, and then we go and we check out and we find that we're scrolling and zoning out on things. Or we go back to the pattern of feeling stuck and not doing anything. And so instead, what we need to be doing is creating sustainable momentum. And we do this by self-connection first, and then taking the actions that are in front of us, the next step, the next step, the next step. So oftentimes women come into my mentorship program and the cycle, and one of the first things that I have you do in there is the Empower Hour. It's the daily Empower Hour. And I've been giving this to clients since I had since I had a counseling practice. And this is taking an hour a day to develop and devote to your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health. It's 1 hour a day that touches on all of those. It is a very powerful thing to do, especially when you're really new to self-care and looking after those four corners, those four main dimensions of your health. But how many women come in and they are immediately overwhelmed with that idea, and they don't know how they're going to find that with working and children and all that. But this is the reason why you are in the situation that you're in, because you're disconnected with yourself. Maybe your time management sucks and you need to develop yourself. This is the whole point. You need to develop yourself into someone that doesn't say, I don't have time to take care of myself. What message is that sending to your higher self, to the universe? I'm not worth investing in. I don't have time to take care of myself. And look where that has gotten you. So it is about doing some of the things that are uncomfortable. Sometimes those things that feel the most uncomfortable and the most scary are the things that we need to do. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, recognize that overwhelm is also a choice and it's a pattern. That used to be my go-to. I would immediately just go into overwhelm. I can still do that, and then I want to shut down and do nothing. And I know that is one of my patterns I will be working with probably for the rest of my life. And so that is recognizing, okay, what is all this stuff that's overwhelming me? Have a strategy for how to delegate it, delete, put it off, or deal with it. You have to be able to see what needs your immediate attention right now. And this is all part of creating momentum, because you tend to get flooded and overwhelmed with all of the things. Like, how am I going to do all this? Instead of focusing on the how, just focus on the what now. Like, what do I need to do right now? You don't always need to know the how it's all going to play out, but you need to be self-connected and then be able to take that inspired action and act on those intuitive hits or those little nudges that you get that are like, go over here, do this, make that phone call, connect with that person, whatever it might be. Like, it's paying attention to that, and it's knowing that that's coming from a deeper place. It's not coming from your monkey mind and your ruminating mind. It's something that just, it's a hit. It's like a hit of, this is my next thing. This is the next thing I need to do. And so when we are self-connected, when we are in touch with the possibility and the fact that we will be successful, we will be able to figure it out. What if it does all work out really well? What if everything is working out for me right now? What if everything is coming to fruition right now? What if I'm being led to exactly where I need to be led right now? Instead of, what if it doesn't work? What if this happens? What if that happens? Flip it around. What if I do this and it opens up new doors that I didn't even think were possible? And we always think we need to know the how something is going to happen or how it's going to work. Sometimes we have to take leaps that are scary. I took one today. Took a big one today that I was procrastinating on, that I was fearful around, that all the fears coming up. It's been keeping me awake for nights and nights for months. And I finally did something about it, and it was a big decision. It was really scary. And sure, doubts can come up where you still think, oh gosh, I hope this all works out, and I hope I'm doing the right thing. This is the other thing. It's we question ourselves too much. We overthink it for too long. We sit on it for way too long. And again, there are times for discernment. There are times to just kind of let something ride. If things aren't really lining up and falling into place, where you're having to do a lot of forcing, that may be a sign that you're going in the wrong direction, or that you just need to pause, or you need to focus on something different right now. There's always messages that we're being given, or when something maybe doesn't feel like it's the right time. And then all of a sudden it shifts and you're like, okay, it does feel like the right time. I'm still terrified. I don't know how this is all going to go. I need to know the how. How is this going to work out? There has to be an element of trust. When you are moving towards something that is for the betterment and improvement somehow in your life, financially, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, whatever, if you are moving towards something that you're making a conscious decision toward that is for your greater good, I really believe that you can't make a mistake. You can do things maybe and learn from them and maybe do something different next time. But I really believe it's just getting yourself in the arena and being willing to get knocked down, but you're still getting back up and you keep going. And that is how we get momentum going. But if you are just fumbling around in the dark right now and you're not sure what to do next, or what your next step is, that can be a very difficult place to be in, and it can help to have a roadmap. It can help to have a way forward. And so if you would like to learn about the 5 levels of awakening to relationship clarity, I've created a brand new audio that walks you through the 5 stages. This is something I recently taught in the Relationship Clarity Bootcamp, which, by the way, I am running another session of that this month. So please make sure to check this episode's notes, the show notes for this episode, to join the next round. But a part of that I added to this bootcamp that was really profound for the women that joined it was teaching my 5 levels of awakening model, and how this explains why women can feel stuck at one stage for a long period of time. And it explains that place that you can remain stuck in for a long time, despite people around you telling you what you need to do, or despite the fact that you know that it's not good, that the relationship is not good. But why, I've heard women saying like, well, I just can't seem to do it. I can't, it's like I'm missing something, or something's missing, or there's just something blocking me and stopping me from actually leaping and getting out of this situation. And I explain exactly what that is in the Ascension of Awakening. And, there's talk about the trauma bond, right? To me, that is, sure, it makes sense to call it that. It's not a clinical term or anything like that, right? It's just kind of one of those terms that's being thrown around out there in the narcissistic abuse community or in toxic relationships. But the way I see it is if you are telling yourself, I'm trauma bonded, just for a moment, tap into that energetically. What does that feel like? I'm trauma bonded. To me, that feels like planted in cement. You cannot leave. And I don't want any language like that. That's why I don't use victim in here. And I don't even like to use, you're a victim. That doesn't feel good energetically either. And so and words matter. Words matter. The way that we frame things matter. And so if you have learned about the trauma bond, the way that I see this is it's just you're at a certain level of evolution. So that just means you need to evolve up to the next level. That's all it means. This is not some energetic force that's keeping you bonded there like crazy glue, like your feet are glued to the floor or you're glued to your partner by trauma and there is no way out. And this is the reason why so many women stay stuck is they're not actually focusing on their own evolution. They're focusing on the relationship still. They're focusing on their partner still. They're trying to get their partner to change. And they're having more of these come to Jesus conversations and heart to hearts and all this crap that keep them mired in the bullshit instead of pivoting their focus entirely and putting it where it needs to be on developing themselves to getting to that next level. And the way that you do that is through creating new momentum forward and creating momentum toward where you want to go. It's no longer and again, and I talk about this in the stages, is one of the stages is you're still in it. You're having the conversations, you're in counseling, you're talking about it, you're trying to force him and fix him and make him be who you want him to be. You're trying to make him into someone else. You're trying to get him to be what you need and change him. And oh my God, like when you really look back on this one day, I promise you're going to be grossed out by your behavior. And you look back on it and see that you were trying to change another person's psychological conditioning. They have to do that. A psychologist needs to do that. If they go into a psychologist and say like, hey, I'm messed up. I've made so many mistakes. I don't know what's wrong with me. Help me. They have to do that. You cannot do that. Yet we try this for decades. This hurt my feelings. That hurt my feelings. Why do you have to say it like that? Why can't you listen to my boundaries? I've already told you I didn't like this, or I don't want that, or I need you to do this. And over and over and over for decades. Think about how many years you have wasted doing that. And that will propel you forward when you realize, oh my God, I am just as dysfunctional as this dysfunctional person. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I did not sugarcoat it for myself when I had that realization. You are dysfunctional as well. You are unhealthy as well. If you are tolerating this and you are still trying to go to counseling, trying to fix it, seeing how he does with counseling and all this crap, you are unwell. And you have to be able to tell yourself the truth, wake up and start doing something different, being someone different, even before doing. It's stepping into that higher self version of you that isn't aligned with that anymore. You're not going to be wasting your time trying to mold a man when you're too busy trying to mold yourself and improve your life. You see, what women do is they say, oh, I've been doing all the work. I've been doing the work on myself. No, what the work you've actually been doing is trying to change your partner. You have not done any work on yourself. So don't tell me you've been doing work on yourself when it's all been for trying to get him to change and improve the relationship. Work on yourself means I do this for me because it's going to benefit me in my future. Whether this relationship continues and I decide to continue on with this insanity or not, I'm going to work on the betterment of me. That means you are working on the dimensions of yourself for you to build yourself to the point where you are prepared for life without the person you're with. And that gives you so much power and so much clarity when you're focusing on that rather than in trying to fix and change someone else, fix and change a person that has no interest, no desire, no capacity to look at themselves. They have no interest in that. They are not the problem in their own eyes. And so you're never going to get someone to see something they're not willing to see. Plain and simple. So if you would like to take those next steps, as I said, click the links in the show notes to join the October Relationship Clarity Bootcamp. And you can also get your hands on the 5 Levels of Awakening to Relationship Clarity audio in the show notes link as well. All right, that's what I have for you this week. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. Take good care. Bye for now.